$20, $30, whatever, and she wouldn't even accept it. It would just decline and go back to my card. She has never once brought me in anywhere near that life. In fact, she doesn't want me to know anything about it. As far as and it would hurt her that I even speak about it, the stuff that I know, because it's very personal to her, and it's personal to her that I even know the stuff that I do know. You know what I mean? Those are very deep secrets, not even secrets, but like things for her that she doesn't want people to know. She doesn't want people to know the struggles that she has and the things that she's dealt with and the people that have been in her life and the stuff that she's done. Like that's personal to her, and it would upset her deeply to even be talking about it. And it.
Yeah, but you're a loose lip. You're a loose lip Sally, though, man. Like when you dated her back in, I remember when you dated her back in the day and stuff. Like
Bo, I'm asking you to respect the fact that that's not. I don't think you know what you're talking about, and I don't want you to keep saying things that you're not sure of.
We all have.
I could be talking about somebody else. I don't know.
I mean, even if you're talking about somebody else, I just don't think and I'm sitting here telling you like I said, there's parts in this conversation where I feel like I'm being very disrespectful to her feelings and her shit, and I don't want that to be a thing, like, because I respect it deeply, and you know what I mean, like and I kind of feel bad that I would even.
Yeah, you also have to understand, David, that you have deep feelings about these things too, and for her to ask you not to talk about it to anybody. I mean, let's say you had a close confidant that you shared things with, and she asked you, please don't talk about it to anybody. Then that's kind of putting you in a spot because you're dealing with this as well. You know, not as much as she is, but you are dealing with it because she's a part of your life. And
I should be dealing it with her.
To deal with it. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah. But there are also, you need to get it out as well to help you get through it as well. And not to blab about it to everybody, but just because you're a human being. You can't just keep all those things bottled up inside and just deal with it on your own, because there are things you'll deal with her, but when she talks to you in confidence, she's putting stuff on your shoulders now that you have to deal with. And while you need to deal with it on your own, but you're also human and, need to reach out and talk to somebody about it as well to help you deal with it. You have your confidants as well, and I would think that your confidant would respect your privacy between what you had told that person. So, but anyway, so when we're talking randomly about just drug addiction in general, refer to just in general. Doesn't necessarily have to be about anybody specific.
Yeah. And I don't want to come off like saying like you're doing anything necessarily wrong or anything like that. I feel like you sound kind of sad. I'm kind of hypothetically just throwing out some ideas there. I mean, we started off talking about whether or not you should have platonic friends with somebody else when you're in a committed relationship, and now we've gotten to this. I guess mainly what I'm trying to say is that there might be a different way of looking at it, and if this was true, how far are you willing to go with it? How far are you willing to go and give of yourself? And when we're talking about giving of yourself, when we're talking about giving of yourself, Dave, I'm not just talking about just of yourself, because there's more to you than just you. There's more to you. You have more responsibilities to other people in your life, to other things that you've built and stuff, than you do to necessarily this person. And that's what I'm saying. So, like, where does it, to what levels are you willing to go? What are you willing to give up? And what things that you've built in your life.
I would risk my entire life for it, any time of the week, any day, always. I would step in front of a bullet for her, and I wouldn't question it. And I would feel sorry for people that, oh, my God, Dave was an idiot for doing that. But I understand all of that stuff. I'm never, ever going to betray her or turn my back on her or not let her. I mean, And like I said, it may be some sort of, I don't believe it's enabling. I do my best to not enable it. I try to be authentic and genuine with her as much as I can. And I have conversations with her about it of genuineness and being real and things like that. But like I said,
there's people that would say you're an idiot are idiots themselves because they don't know your circumstances. They don't live in your shoes. So, they're idiots themselves if they're saying that. But there are people who are listening to this conversation that may take something away from it. From your personal experiences. So that's a good thing.
And I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong. I'm not saying you're doing it right either, but I am saying there are some things that are concerning about what you're saying in situations where I've known people who have gone through addictions, who has had somebody who's been there for them, who's had somebody who, and look, maybe she won't use you in that type of way or whatever. I'm just saying, to be aware of those things. And when I'm talking about things that you're building and things like this, you say, oh, I'd step in front of a bullet for it and I'd do it 1,000 times. I'm not talking about like your life. I'm talking about abstract things that affect other people that are around you other than yourself, So keep those things in mind. Yeah.
Just food for thought and questions, that's all.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's also things like there you want to protect certain things overall. Like Zane, my son, she's one of them. My grandfather, like there are people that there's no boundaries for what I wouldn't do to protect that. And, emotionally, physically, whatever the case may be, like I said, that decision, that choice has already been made. And there's not going to be a thing that I learn or a thing that I do that's going to be like, maybe not. This is different. Like, because if you do, then it was never real in the first place. Like, I don't think that you can say something and you really devote like a thing to it and you mean it and you say it and you do it, but then you fucking like go back on it or you like realize something like, then it wasn't there. Like you have to make a choice and you have to stay with that fucking choice or it's not, you know what I mean? Like you can't.
Well, you're saying that now, but her choices that the person makes if they go and sleep with somebody and then they say it didn't mean anything, but then they go and do it again with somebody else, you were saying that doesn't matter to you, but now you're saying that, when you make a commitment, it should stay that way forever.
So that's still my commitment. I'm saying that if you make a commitment that it doesn't bother you, then if it did, then you didn't mean it in the first place. It does bother you, and you don't want it to be in your life, and it does something that hurts you, and you should change it, and you should, then it wasn't authentic anyway. If I'm sitting here saying this is the choice that I make, and it keeps happening, and that's the way our life functions, and that's the relationship, and that's the way it is, I made the choice. Like in that,
right. But she's saying, but a person would be saying they didn't care about you as much as they said that they did in the first place, and not so much your commitment, but their commitment to you isn't real. If they keep doing that.
I mean, yeah, there's that, but there's also, I don't know. Like I said, you just have to be okay with it if that were the case. And that's like an extreme version. I mean, I'm sure that happens with other people. I'm sure that's not like a thing. Like, there's probably guys that are just serial cheaters and the woman just loves them. And they're like, why do you keep cheating on me? Please love me. And like women just do that over and over again and they just keep accepting it and being that. And then maybe eventually that guy stops cheating. He's like, you know what? I just did this to her like 15 times and she didn't fucking blink an eye. Yes, we've had hard times and it's been awful and miserable and this shit has sucked, but we are still rocking and rolling. And now, you know what? I don't want to fuck anybody else. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I just want to respect this person and love them for loving me as much as they have. And they do that then.
There are
but
to the rule.
does that really happen, though? I mean,
sure
it could happen. It could happen, but does that really how it happens? Usually, if you're dating somebody and you're serially cheating on her, you don't just come to the realization one day like, fuck it, I'm not doing that anymore. I mean, I'm sure fucking lightning strikes, but I mean, that's not typically how that works. And that's kind of basically, I think, kind of the gist of what we're saying here, or the gist of what I'm trying to say, is that I'm not saying that what you're proposing at least the way I'm hearing it, is I'm not saying that can't work. I'm just saying typically it doesn't. And so to just say, well, like, oh, well, there's a chance it might work, instead of maybe going through and maybe going about it in a more tried and true way that has more success. And to be honest with you, I mean, more success is just minuscule, because somebody who's really seriously, and I don't know the level of, I don't even know, I've never met the person we're even talking about, and I don't know what the levels of addiction or anything are, but anybody who's gotten to a level of serious addiction, I mean, the chances of recovery and not using it in the future, under the best of circumstances, is not very good percentage anyway. So even saying that, working a 12-step program and stuff like that, yes, if you work it, it does work, but there's so many people who don't work it once they start doing it, and that's a very small percentage of people who are successful with that. So that's kind of the same thing. Like, yes, lightning could strike in a bottle, and this guy who's been cheating for a ton of times could just decide, you know what, she's stuck with me through all this cheating. I don't want her to feel that way anymore, and I'm just going to stop. But that's usually not the way it works. Usually somebody doing something like that continues to do it. And I'm saying that why bet on the lightning in the bottle opposed to maybe betting on some real solutions that have more of a track record of being successful.
What's fun about that, dude? Nobody gives a shit about stuff that's successful. They care about the lightning in a bottle. It's like the golf effect. You don't remember all the bad shots you took at golf. You remember the badass one that was fucking, you got in one, perfect swing, perfect noise, it laid it on the green. That's what you talk about. You don't talk about, well, I mean, I had
Yeah, but
okay.
golf is a game, and we're talking about life and death.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and here's the case. Like you said, if it's all on the person, and the person has to make that decision, and they have to love themselves, and they have to choose to love themselves, and then saying that you're also enabling them by not, so you're enabling by not giving them the option to love themselves. Like, I don't know how that kind of like plays into it. How are you being a negative impact because you're loving him anyway? Like, oh, well, if he loves me anyway, I don't have to love myself. If he loves me, I can do whatever the fuck I want. And I just don't think that's the thing.
I'm not saying you're necessarily enabling in that way. It's just that I'm thinking that you're providing resources to a person that probably isn't going to have those resources for herself. Right? Like, so if you're talking about, oh, well, when she's able to, she's going to come up here or she's going to come here and move in with me and this, that, and the other. I mean, those are some resources she may or may not have available to her otherwise. And
I was the enabler. I was an enabler.
Yeah.
Right, but
were you? We were kind of talking about
he wasn't choosing to love himself, though. How were you the enabler? He just wasn't choosing it. You were still there. You gave them every chance to do it, to love themselves. They just chose not to. They're like, fuck it, I don't want to love myself. I'm sure that if it wasn't you, somebody else would be enabling them. So, were you, though? I mean, it's still on that other person, regardless. You're not enabling them. The person they choose after you is not enabling them. The person they choose after that is not enabling them. Like, it's just, that's the thing. It's on them still. And in all of the situations. All right? Or wrong?
Well, I didn't give them. I provided the resources, so there was an incentive to stop. So.
I guess that would be under the perception of the other person. I mean, was it? I mean, nobody, you don't know how like what the stuff that happened between you guys really, and how that was enabled or what. I don't know.
I'm going to cut you off here real quick. We do have another caller. So, Suzanne, if you want to say hang on the line, that's great. We'll have like 5 people on it. It'll be great. We got a caller from the 614. How's it going?